6 needed, and that could be the winning hit. It is. It's 6 for Lewis Gregory, and Somerset have won by 6 wickets. Tremendous win for Somerset, chasing down 194 to win, with Will Smead leading the way.
Hello there, this is Always Look on the Bright Side of Life, the Somerset Cricket Podcast. My name's Ian Shepherd. Joining me this evening, I've got, I believe, a man with a full house of Metro Banks, the number one Metro banker amongst us. Dan, 8 out of 8. How do you sum up Somerset's campaign?
A really strange campaign, yeah. Up and down, some really good moments, but some pretty terrible cricket as well, summed up by that last game, I think.
It was indeed. Also with us, after a few weeks off on his various holidays all around the world, we got the voice of cricket on BBC Radio Somerset, Anthony Gibson. Gibbo, how are you doing?
I'm doing fine, thank you, Shep. Just back from North Devon, watching Harry Everett playing for North Devon against the South Oxfordshire Amateurs.
Yeah, looked a bit parched up there in Stone. Who'd have guessed Harry Everett would take the day off work to guess for somebody playing a game of cricket? I gather your final Metro Bank total not quite as impressive as Dan's. Right.
No, it wasn't. But I watched them. Those that I didn't get to see in person, I watched on the live stream.
It was all yes. We'll have a little chat about the Lancashire game in a minute, and also with us not just about to jump in the car toppers, but tomorrow morning you'll be making your way down to the Cooper Associates County Ground to watch your beloved Essex as they. On Thursday, there's another game going on there on Wednesday, which we'll catch up with, or we'll talk about in a minute. But of course, Essex legend Don Topley. Toppers, how are you doing? First of all, thank you for coming on, and are you well?
Well, firstly, thank you for inviting me. I am well, and I'm very much looking forward to being in the company of Gibbo over the next 4 days in Taunton. I leave tomorrow morning.
Yeah, if you do make it to the ground in time, or to Taunton in time, I'll get the little plug out the way now. It's the Clash of the Captains, big testimonial game going on for Lewis Gregory's testimonial, and also in aid of motor neurone disease. It's a load of guys from the world of professional rugby. I don't follow rugby as much as I probably should, but yeah, some big names in there. The likes of Owen Farrell, Lewis Moody's going to be down there. Somerset players guesting. Jamie Overton's coming back as well, playing for Lewis's team. So, yeah, have a look on the Instagram, LG24 testimonial, all the teams and all the details on there. But that's an afternoon game with a dinner in the evening. I think the dinner might be sold out, but do drop them a message if you want to go. They might be able to sneak you on a table. Right, before we have a look at Thursday, then we just need to do a bit of housekeeping and have a little chat about the, somewhat damp squib of an end to the Metro Bank campaign. A drubbing, really, at the hands of Lancashire, visiting Lancashire last week. Death taxes and Keaton Jennings scoring runs against Somerset. Keaton Jennings making 156. Rocky Flintoff, his maiden century wearing the red rose, made 123, an imposing total of 443 for 6. And Dan, after being asked to bat first, Lancashire must have been very happy with that total.
Oh yeah, the highest ever list A total at Taunton, wasn't it? Yeah, I mean, they started relatively normally, but I think as the innings went on, our bowling got more and more ragged. Jennings and Flintoff were, built the partnership nicely. Eventually the boundaries were very easy to come by for them. And obviously they were helped by a flat wicket, a short boundary. It's a ground that we know is high scoring. And Somerset deviated from their formula, where at Taunton this year, we've obviously batted first in each game. Of course, that was not for our own choosing. We were put in each of those games, but won them all. You'd think there'd be enough evidence from that to suggest that batting first would be the way to go if we won the toss. And sadly, we didn't. I thought it was a very odd decision. To bowl first. I mean, the history of the ground the last couple of years does indicate bowling first is the better choice. I think it was 11 of the last 12 were won by the side that bowled first before this season. But this year it's flipped. And in terms of net run rate, we didn't actually in the end need much of a net run rate boost. We only needed to win with like a few balls to spare, or if we were batting first by a few runs based on the other results. But even so, it was odd knowing that net run rate might be a factor to bowl first, because if you're bowling first, and we must have known it was going to be a high scoring game. So to bowl first in a high scoring game, knowing that you're going to need, or ideally need, a net run rate boost, it's hard to get a net run rate boost if you're chasing 350. It's hard to chase that with 10 overs to spare and get a decent boost. Whereas batting first, you can hopefully get 350 plus and, stifle the opposition. So yeah, it was just a very strange decision all round to bowl first, which is what I'm always going to come back to as the main regret from this match, really. I mean, obviously we did play badly, but it was set off by that one decision. And I do feel if we had batted first, it could have been different.
Yeah, but I mean, it was just watching the bowling, it just kind of all went to pot, and they really didn't have they weren't able to maintain their lines or lengths for their plans, and Jennings and Rocky Flintoff just did not seem to have any problems at all finding two or three boundaries and over, and they, and every ball they looked like they had 2 or 3 boundary options as where they could plant it.
Half volleys and full tosses.
Yeah.
They didn't bowl short. But there were so many full tosses, and it was a very poor bowling performance. But I agree with Dan. I mean, the real question is, why on earth did we choose to bat first? I didn't do the post-match, but you were there, I think, Sheps. What did Jason Kerr must have been asked that?
Oh,
what was his explanation for choosing to put Lancashire in?
I think it was just the usual. It was, we back ourselves to do what we do. They didn't execute. They were a bit. He said they felt the bowlers were a bit sort of rabbit in the headlights, which they have used that reasoning before, particularly when the likes of who's it got under for Warwick in the T20. Webster, yeah, when he was going, when the Glamorgan lads were chasing that total down as well. They sort of used that before, so it's something you probably should have learned, really. But it was just that they didn't really execute, and if they bowled like that, bowling second, they probably would have lost as well. So,
I mean, but they played to Lancashire's strength as well, because Lancashire's strength was in their batting. Their bowling looked pretty ordinary, in all honesty, and to get bowled out for however many we did get bowled out, 200 and some, was a pretty poor effort against a pretty threadbare Lancashire bowling attack. So, the batting wasn't, in all honesty, much better than the bowling. Lammerby batted well again, but the scoreboard pressure and the required run rate just kept mounting and mounting and mounting, and he knew that sooner or later he was going to hole out in the deep, and so it proved. But it was a very disappointing end to what, on balance has been a pretty good campaign. Mixture of youth and experience. I have to say the experience has done rather better than the youth. One thing that rather worried me from the Metro Bank campaign was the fact that the youngsters, by and large, didn't actually make much of an impact. And they are the future of Somerset cricket. They're the cricketers that are coming up through the pathway. And, well, I think the jury is still out as to whether some of them are really good enough.
Well, I thought Archie was a standout with the ball on
what about his batting?
What's Tuesday? Well, yeah, I'll give you that. He's been in no form with the bat, but I think certainly with the ball, we've seen a massive improvement there. I think he was the only one who didn't go under 9 and 0 or under 7 and over on Tuesday, 49 for 2 in his 10 overs. And I think he's bowled well every game. Yes, he hasn't quite got the runs, but definitely an improvement with the ball. And then you sort of look at the likes of JT Langridge, James Theedham. Do you feel they've made progress? I feel like Theedham has. I feel like Langridge probably hasn't.
But Langridge was earlier in the comp. He had a couple of really...
Yeah, but I was sort of looking at the whole package. I think up at Grace Road, he lost his length. He couldn't maintain a length. Again, I thought, against Lancs, he wasn't particularly good. And I just felt like this was a tournament where he should have played every game and really sort of built some momentum going through. But I don't know. no real young batters. I mean, Josh Thomas did okay, but it was really left to sort of the two class acts in the team in Lamb and Lewis Goldsworthy to score all the runs.
Exactly. That's my concern. Yeah, but I mean, Thomas, in a sense, he's playing. He'll probably be playing in the county championship. He's a proven quality. It's the ones for whom the Metro Bank One Day Cup is the first opportunity really to show what they can do. And none of them really took that opportunity.
No.
Yeah, Thomas averaged the same as Golders, scored one more run. Although Golders did play one less game, so I think it's a bit harsh to say Thomas didn't have.
I think Thomas was good. I think he got 90. What's the game? He got 90 odd.
It was Gloucester, wasn't it?
Gloucester, yeah. So he's played well. He's come in a couple of situations where he's been a little bit sort of had to play one way. I probably would have liked to see him maybe open, but anyway, we can come back to that. The Metro Bank One Day Cup is dead. Long live the county championship. Toppers, shall we start with Essex? Your beloved Essex then. How did they sort of shape up in the first half of the campaign?
Mixture. Some pretty okay results at times, but a few nightmare defeats. I mean, if you look at the championship now, Notts are leading by 5, but basically 11 points divides 6 counties, and that is Essex and includes Somerset, who are second. You're 5 points behind. So look, the campaign now is going to finish off with this run in late in August and September. Long may the weather hold, but my word, listen, I just don't know what kind of a wicket you're going to produce. It's going to be a quick outfield down there. I can't believe you'll prepare it to turn. Maybe you'd like it a little bit of grass on it, maybe. There may Cook, I don't know if, Cook's not going to play in the test, so whether he is released, it'll be interesting to see. I feel sorry, and I want to say this because I have been quite vocal about it, but I feel a little sorry for Craig Overton, who would have been my test all-rounder for these 3 test matches. And I've said it all summer, and I've lauded his form. I think he has played some incredible cricket. And for me, I believe he warrants that opportunity. But I was speaking to his agent, and his agent was concerned that England might have passed him by. Shame.
It's difficult to disagree with that. I mean, if you look at, he's won, 3 PCA Monthly Player of the Month awards. He's scoring buckets of runs. He's taking wickets. He's catching pigeons that slip again now. Hasn't missed a game, I think, all season for Somerset or the Trent Rockets. Still looks fit as a fiddle. Looks absolutely...
Whatever the format, he's delivered.
Yeah. So, I think you're right. I think, we were obviously gutted that he wasn't selected for England from his point of view and the recognition of Somerset. But, as you say...
I do think there are a lot of lads around that age of Craig Overton. Okay, Jamie Overton's been given a white ball contract and a very different type of cricketer currently. And he's a very effective white ball cricketer, as Jamie. But I do think there's quite a lot of cricketers of Craig's age, which is only 32, that England have passed on by. And I think it's a great shame because they're not past their best. A spinner may learn about his game to the age of 32, but these boys are strong. They're invaluable to their teams. And I think England have missed a bit of a tactical aberration in not picking Craig Overton. There, I've said it, and I've said it in the ears of Somerset faithful.
Gibbo, do you think we'll ever see Craig wearing the 3 lines again?
I'd be surprised. I mean, if he was going to be picked, this was the opportunity to pick him, wasn't it? There still just seems to be this prejudice against, the 77 miles an hour seam bowlers with the wicketkeeper standing up, as Rob Key put it. Well, Michael Neser showed, that not England over Matt Henry with Tom Blundell. But I agree. I think Tom is right, and Jason Radcliffe, who's Greg Overton's agent, is probably right as well. That ship seems to have sailed. I think it's a great shame because Craig Overton's a warrior.
Yeah.
He gives it 100% every time, no matter how desperate the situation. He'll believe that he can come through it and carry Somerset on, or Trent Rockets, or whatever it might be, onto victory. And I think England could do with some of that, in all honesty, especially under Joe Root's captaincy, which is not the most inspiring captaincy that England have ever had.
Were you pleased with Joe Root, Gibbo taking? I
didn't see any alternative.
Correct. I was brutally honest, as like with Craig Overton. There are no obvious leaders. There are no leaders in any 11 that England would likely put out. Frighteningly so, no leaders. So, I would have pleaded with Joe Root because there was no alternative, as you said. So good luck, Joe Root. But we need to start playing a little bit better and a little bit more with responsibility in our Test match cricket.
Agreed.
We've veered massively off topic now talking about the Test, but Dan, this is quite a difficult series to predict because you've got Pakistan, who are mercurial by their very nature, and then you've got an England side coming off probably its most unstable period for a number of years. New captain, no coach at the moment. I don't know if Fleming's going to be lurking in the background, but Trez is taking the reins officially for this series, so it's going to be compelling to watch, I reckon.
Yeah, it's two teams that are in a bit of a shambles at the moment. Pakistan, I'd say they've been worse than mercurial in the last few years. Like probably in all formats, they're just an underwhelming side at the moment, really. And England, to some extent, you could say the same. England are probably the favourites going into it, but I would not bet against Pakistan winning the series. I certainly wouldn't bet against them winning a Test. And I think, Craig, just going back to Craig, he would have added that bit of leadership to the dressing room. I mean, obviously he's not got loads of Test experience, but the England dressing room is devoid of proper leaders, I think. And Craig Overton could easily have been one. Someone to look to, to follow. He would have been he did have a bit of a spell earlier this season of dropping a few catches in the slips, but he would have been a very, ordinarily he's one of the best. And England has struggled a bit with their catching recently, so Craig could have been handy there as well. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting series. Obviously, it's going to be a strange one as well, because it's not even the permanent. Trez is obviously the head coach. If England lose, the ECB will say, "Oh no, don't worry, don't read too much into it," because we haven't. This is only an interim solution. But yeah, even so, it's looking forward to it.
I feel like we're into sort of another phase of Craig's career now. If you could probably chop it into three: promising youngster coming through into England recognition, and that period sort of about 5 or 6 years ago where he was a real handful with the ball, had a bit more pace about him, and was in and around the England side for a number of years, and then up to now where he just seems after this hernia op and the work he's done on his batting, having the winter off, now I feel like this could be potentially the third phase of his career where he's a guy who just completely knows his game absolutely inside out. He's about to become a father any day now, and that kind of changes how you think about not just cricket but your whole life, and it can improve things for you. And I just feel that it's like he'd just be a massive boost for any England team. Put it this way: if there was a sickness bug going round, England were on tour and there was a sickness bug going round and they needed somebody and Craig was in the stands, I don't think they'd be too disappointed that they had to bring him into the team.
Okay.
his batting has come on tremendously this year,
Yeah.
and all credit to him. All right, he's 32, but he's worked so hard on his batting, and he's turned himself from a bowler who could bat into a really genuine all-rounder. I mean, his batting average this season in the county championship 45.66, and his bowling average 19.54. Even Don Topley would struggle to to have a difference between his batting average and bowling average as good as that. But I agree with you, Sheps. I think he's gone up a level this year. I think he's gone up a level as a man as well as a cricketer as well.
Yeah.
I thought the way he captained Somerset was exemplary. He is a natural leader, and he has matured. I mean, both the brothers, they were a bit wild, if we're being honest, 10 years ago or so, and the red mist was rather inclined to come down. But they've matured, the pair of them. Craig, well, they're both lovely lads now, and I think it's great for Somerset. If Craig had been snapped up for England, that would have been our hopes of the county championship gone down the drain. No doubt about it at all. But he hasn't, and our hopes, as indeed are the hopes of Essex, still very much alive.
Do you think Prez was sat in a selection meeting just bad-mouthing Craig with his fingers crossed under the table, like just keeping him down at Taunton, gonna get that championship for us? Yes. Speaking of the championship, then, so just to look at the table, just one of the quirks about this bloody 8 points for a draw. Essex have won 4 games and they're a mid-table. That's the most of anybody in the division, apart from Sussex. Obviously, Sussex still labouring with that points deduction for 2026. But it is strange. Exciting cricket with your guys, Toppers. Played 8, won 4, lost 3.
Yeah, 3 defeats were bad, seriously bad. But we've batted quite well. Tom Wesley's played well. The youngsters have played well. I mean, you talked about your youngsters in the Metro One Day Cup. The Essex youngsters have responded. Noah Thane has moved up to open the batting and replied with a few centuries. Charlie Allison has played well in the championship. And those two boys actually played very well along with Benkenstein in the T20. And we just missed out on, we probably weren't good enough. That's fair in the T20s. But the youngsters have been responding to Essex and Chris Silverwood's call. So that's good news. Charlie Bennett played a little bit last year as a big, tall right-arm seamer. Listen, he literally lives in Suffolk, literally about 150 yards to my left. He might be listening to this. Hello, Charlie. But listen, he's got something to work with. I'm excited. He's got something that I would happily work with. Tall, got a bit of pace, but obviously championship cricket is a different game for the fast bowlers. He might be in contention to play. I think it will be how England, whether they release Cook or not. And Essex need Cook down at Taunton.
I think as well, especially coming off the back of so much white ball cricket, if Cook's not playing, it would make sense to get some overs in his legs if you did need him for... where's the second test? Lords.
Headingley, Lords, Birmingham.
Yes, final test. Bizarrely at Edgbaston this year, so everything seems to be all over the shop, not at its traditional home of the Oval. So how do you see him sort of... What 11 are you picking for tomorrow, for Thursday then, Toppers? Who do you think we're going to see?
Well, I'm going to hope Cook comes down. Mm-hmm. My 11, I think you'll see Dean Elgar one last time.
Mm-hmm. That's an exciting prospect.
Hey, well, he won't be listening. He won't be listening to this broadcast, but he does owe some runs.
Yeah, was he 27 he's averaging this year, just the
Yeah.
100 and 150.
Yeah, Tom Wesley's done quite well, so he'll be back. I don't believe there's any major injuries, but obviously Paul Walter, who was
Yeah.
an instant success when he was given the opportunity in the 100, he'll be coming back. And it was interesting on the interview he made with, I think it was the BBC, who he said, it's nice to play with a captain who believes in bowling me. Now, I always thought that he was less interested in bowling a few overs, but he clearly is. And he thought Joss Butler, formerly of Somerset, was very keen to bowl him when needed. But Hara be your man. And if you've got another left-hander coming in from New Zealand, then for us, Harmer will be bowling at him quite early doors, I would have thought.
So Critchley fit as well. I mean, I'm just looking at the stats here. He's averaging 50 and obviously a threat with his leg spin.
He's changed his game a little bit more. He's become a little bit more aggressive, batting at 5. Probably a thoroughly modern batting cricketer today. Can bowl his overs brilliantly, does well, but he doesn't hang around. He looks to play a few shots.
Well, one thing we know about Somerset and Essex clashes, they are very rarely ever dull. So I'm really looking forward to this. I'm really looking forward to chatting going.
And that's just the commentary.
Oh. Are we going to have to? I was showing my age now. Think about that episode of Steptoe and Son where they sort of build a wall down through the house. Are we going to have to do that in the commentary box just to keep you two from coming to blows?
Well, it normally throws me under a bus mid-afternoon, day one. He hasn't denied that.
I'm looking forward to it.
Listen, how's the ground? How's the ground looking?
The outfield's great. I mean, it's lightning fast, but it's green. No,
is it?
It's interesting. You asked about the pitch. That's a very interesting question. And we were talking about this, Sheps, on last Tuesday, and that pitch on the left-hand side, looking out from the press box, which had the covering on it.
So there's the grey one.
The grey one. Are they going to use that, do you think?
Maybe. Not this week. Maybe the last game of the season. But it's a new sort of loam. Yeah. Ideally, they want to wait till next year, but it's supposed to give pace and bounce and also spin towards the back end of the game. As in a perfect cricket wicket. I think, and you know, with the drainage, it's very difficult to keep the moisture in the surfaces these days. So it's becoming more and more difficult to get them to break up. So our head of our ground staff, Nick Pepper, he knows this. He's not by any means got his head in the sand on this, but developing wickets moves at a glacial pace. You can't just click your fingers and make a brand new pitch. You've got to give the grass time to grow. He's very big on root growth, holding things together, and that generating the sort of keeping it compact and tight and giving you the bounce. So he knows he's got a long-term plan, and there have been 2 of these wickets relayed. You'll see it when you come down, Dawn. We can have a look at a couple of games that were played over the last few weeks. It's almost like a moon rock kind of grey under an artificial sheet, whether it's a germination sheet or whatever it is. But it's covered up. It looks completely alien to anything else on the square, but fingers crossed it's got to be some exciting cricket to Taunton.
They tell me in other grounds that they're offering free tickets, or members can bring guests, or this is the Festival of Cricket Week. Surrey are playing at the Oval, and I gather members can take guests. Are we expecting a good crowd? Is there a festival of cricket at Taunton this week?
Well, one thing that I did notice about the Lancashire game last week was the size of the crowd. It was phenomenal. for, random 50.
Yeah.
Well, I know it was the last game, but 50 over game. It was a nice day. 50 over game on a Tuesday. I think it might have been one of the biggest crowds that we've had of the 4 home Metro Bank games. So, fair play to everybody that came and watched that, because it was a really hot day. It was almost, a little bit.
We had the Festival of Red Ball Cricket earlier in the season, haven't we?
Did you?
Yeah. And Somerset get it's either the second or third best crowds for home county championship games in the country. So yeah, there'll be a good crowd there tomorrow, probably 2,500, 3,000, something like that. There'll be a trip, not tomorrow, on Thursday. Terrific atmosphere, and everybody looking forward to some proper cricket, minus all the stupid gimmicks that have been.
Oh, Gibbo.
What stupid gimmicks do you mean?
Gibbo, you gotta let it go.
I enjoy cricket, and I don't think cricket needs gimmicks to sex it up. The game is good enough on its own without all of this rubbish that goes on around it in a certain tournament.
We'll come on to that in a minute. We still haven't finished previewing this game. One player who will be in Somerset's 11 is our brand new signing, announced today. New Zealander, top order, left-handed back, Henry Nicholls. Now, we've all been sat here going, fingers crossed Matt Henry, but bowler. Seen bowling looking a little bit worrying with what's in the cupboard. But their line with overseas players has always been quality.
Yeah.
Quality players who add something to the squad. And I think if there was no quality bowlers available, save getting one just to, be a replacement, this was a pretty good signing and probably one of the best that they could have picked.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the club. The club may have always been looking at a batter. There are logical reasons to get a batter, but I would have been looking at a bowler first for sure. And if there was no one of real quality out there, but Henry Nicholls was available, then that is what I would have done, I think. We also obviously are going to be using a lot of spin, presumably, in the next few games, given it's been a dry summer, plus it's August and September. At Taunton, in those months, those are really the months where spin really comes into it. And Nicholls is a really good player. Like he's one of those players who's just sort of, I think he's been in and around the New Zealand Test team without ever really nailing down his spot. But obviously, he came in for Kane Williamson when he retired and immediately scored a century, didn't he? In the second innings of that Test, I think. And he's led the averages in the last 2 Plunket Shield competitions in New Zealand as well. So he's clearly, on top of his game at the moment. He's 35, I think. So knows his game, loads of experience. The slight worry is that I think he had a pretty poor spell with Worcestershire last season. I haven't looked into it.
He averaged 17, top score of 42 in 6 games.
There we go. So he's never really cracked county cricket. And obviously had that stint with Derbyshire where he didn't bat and didn't bowl. It was literally played 1 game and then, I don't know, something happened that he couldn't stay on. But yeah, that century against England reassures me. At least he has done it in English conditions and recently as well. So yeah, and he's obviously top order as well. We've been batting at 3 in domestic cricket and for New Zealand, I think. So he might open, I suppose, because if he bats 3, Lammonby might have to open. Obviously, Lammonby's not really opened regularly for quite a few years now, and has been a bit better at 3 compared to when he was opening. So, it'd be interesting to see how we do slot him in. And yeah, I do remain concerned about the pace depth. 1 or 2 injuries, and we could be struggling because Josh Shaw, frankly, is not an ideal first reserve. He's not got a great red ball record. And we're going for a county championship title here. We need to be at the top of our game. And we really, really cannot afford for Craig Overton to be injured, obviously, because we know how bad our record is when we don't have Craig Overton in red ball cricket. So yeah, there are concerns about the pace depth, but if Nicholls was the player they thought could add the most value to the side, then yeah, I have no issue with that signing at all.
Yeah, I agree with that. He's obviously a very good player. He's got a very good average. The average is over 40 in first-class cricket. And as long as he doesn't do a Murali VJ on us, then it's a very, very good signing. And I'm sure they'd have liked to sign a good quick bowler, but they're just not available. And even if you can find one, they come with so many strings attached from their, as to how many overs they can bowl and under what circumstances and all the rest of it. But it's, it's hardly worth it sometimes. So, but yeah, the bowling is a concern, and it's not just Craig Overton; it's Lewis Gregory as well, whose body, has had a history of letting him down. And if Lewis can't get through to the end of the season in one piece, that's going to take a big hole out of our bowling attack, because it is very heavily reliant on Craig Overton and Lewis Gregory. Jake Ball has been better this year. He's bowled pretty well in white ball cricket for the most part. Josh Shaw, as Dan has said, has got really no track record in red ball cricket at all, and hasn't really bowled very well in the Metro Bank. And Jack Leach is, on looking at the figures, he's not quite the force that he was, or he hasn't had the pitches to operate on. And I'm not sure he's going to get, certainly at Taunton, pitches that are going to offer him very much. I think Don's right. I think we'll see a pitch which has got plenty of grass on it, in the hope that there is a little bit of bounce and carry early on. And if there is some grass on it, then that will give the spinners something to work with, because you're not going to get a dusty, crumbly pitch at Taunton in this day and age, even if Somerset were prepared to take the risk to produce such a pitch with the ECB casting a jaundiced eye on Taunton from London, which I think is fairly unlikely. So I think, if we're going to win the championship, we've got to win, I don't know, 3 games, 3 out of the remaining 6 games, something like that. And if we're going to win games of cricket, that's down to the bowlers. Bowlers win matches. And if Overton and Gregory stay fit, if Jack Leach can be the force this autumn that he has been in previous autumn, then I think we've got a reasonable chance. But
I feel like Jack's just about to wake up. I feel like he's just been kind of sort of bubbling under, just waiting for these 6 games now to come along. He had he did play a lot in the Blast. He had a bit of a doomer on finals day. Didn't play. I thought he'd probably play more games than he did in the Metro Bank. But now, this is when you want your number 1 spinner. These 6 games, chance to win your first ever county championship. I feel like this is when Jack's come to life.
Shep, I hate saying this, but most games between Essex and Somerset, often the toss is quite important. And it might be on Thursday. It might be that Essex want to bat first if there's not too much grass on it. And it, only because Harmer and Critchley can have a bowl towards day 4 if it goes that far. But I can remember the game at Chelmsford with Gibbo earlier in the season. And, Lammonby came on in a very bizarre small spell before lunch.
Well, that was where he
got 2 top draw batters out.
Well, I'd say got them out is a bit of a stretch.
No disrespect to Lammonby, but with your bowling lineup with Ball, with Overton, Gregory, or whoever plays, Pretorius, listen, you can't give wickets away to Lammonby. He shouldn't be getting top order players out. He is a safety valve to use a few overs up. Yes, he might swing the ball, but you can't get out to medium pace. Not at this level.
He's better. He's quicker than he looks, Tom Lammonby.
He's better than medium pace.
And he's a wicket-taking bowler. He's not just a sort of stopgap. You put him on to take wickets. And he got 3 for 28 down at the Utilita Bowl a couple of seasons ago, and they were good players as well. And
I have a theory,
and he nips it off the pitch.
I have a theory. I think I'm not saying you're wrong. All I'm saying is, with a decent set of bowlers around him, I think the opposition batters, rest a little easy when he comes on, because they think he perhaps isn't as good as Ball, Pretorius, Overton, Gregory, or whatever. And I think they just take their eye off the ball. And I think that's dangerous, and you mustn't do that. Because when Essex were okay, they were in a good position in that corresponding game.
Well, that was
and
the
then
first,
Lammonby
was it
came
the
on
first morning where Elgar sort of hold out to fine leg, didn't he? And then there was another one, yeah.
It was sort of one of these.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Well,
You got to learn from it.
I mean,
I'm staying in the hotel, I think, the same hotel as the players, and I might remind them in the morning and just saying,
just slide a note under the doors.
Getting you guys out before lunch. Don't make that happen again.
I mean, just going back to the bowling depth. I mean, if we go, I mean, I'll go for my side now. I'm going Josh Thomas and Henry Nicholls to open, Lammonby at 3, James Rew at 4, Abel 5, Vaughan 6, Gregory 7, Overton 8, Leach 9, Ball 10, and Pretorius 11. Yes, I'm dropping Miguel Pretorius down to 11.
Pointedly down at 11, yeah.
Pointedly down at 11, Miggy P. Prove me wrong. I mean, that leaves Josh Shaw, James Steedham, JT Langridge, Kieran Roberts as your backup seam options. And no disrespect to any of those lads, but you'd want to see one or two more in there, maybe. You know, like an Alfie Ogborn, maybe from years gone by, a Josh Davey or a Ben Green, certainly a Casey Aldridge in there. So I just wonder whether that checkbook may just remain open, just if the right bowler becomes available. After they maybe finished in the 100, maybe they finished, I don't know, whatever international cricket's done on at the moment. If somebody becomes available for 2 or 3 games.
Who would you like?
Matt Henry, ideally, but...
Do you know, he was dropped in the 100, wasn't he?
We all thought he was going to be rested. He requested to be rested for the Essex game on Thursday. Sadly not to be.
And not another one who just was left out after probably an average 100 because he was spent a lot of time in the States playing MLC was Adam Zampa. And Glamorgan, Mason Crane, he got a gig and performed quite well.
Yeah, but I think as seam bowlers, it's...
So you've not got TKC in your side then, Sheps?
I've not. He would have opened if we hadn't signed Nicholls. I'm just looking. I mean, depending on the surface, you could maybe slot TKC in at 6, then move everybody down 1, and that would leave you with Pretorius, Ball. Yeah, I need to drop a seamer then, don't I?
Yeah, you'd have to leave out Ball or Pretorius, wouldn't you?
Yeah, so maybe then go 3 seamers, 2 spinners, and the extra batter, depending on the surface. But I'm looking at it.
Is Lammonby one of those 3 seamers?
No, and he's had a bit of an elbow niggle, so he's not really bowled as much as he did in last year. He bowled quite a lot in last year's Metro Bank. He was more of a sort of a last resort golden arm type option this season. So I think he's absolutely which is the right thing to do. He's worked on just getting his batting right, coming off a pretty persistent elbow niggle, which he was in quite a lot of pain, I gather, earlier on the season. Touchwood, he's scored good runs in the Metro Bank, just hitting form right, ready for the championship. So I think he's right to kind of just leave the bowling to one side for a minute. I mean, I'm sure he'd chuck you an over or 2 down if he was requested, but that's where he is at the moment. I think just really focusing on his batting. So it does look quite a well-balanced side that we got there. But again, surface dependent. Could you just go in with 3 seamers? 3 seamers. 2
Goldsworthy
spinners.
not on your side,
Goldsworthy not in my side, no.
Would you not have him than Vaughan?
Well, I think Vaughan was the better bowler in the Metro Bank. I think Vaughan is the more experienced championship bowler. I'll cast my mind back.
Is much better form with the bat than Vaughan. And he bats well against Essex.
if we're gonna in a match where we're gonna need a second spinner, Vaughan will play, won't he? He's the clear next bowling option in terms of spin. Goldsworthy, obviously, he bowls a bit in the championship. He's not the wicket taker that Vaughan is he? So I think when I agree with you, Giver, that in terms of batting, yeah, if we're not expecting spin, then I'd be picking Goldsworthy over Vaughan, absolutely, especially in the middle order. But if it's a game where spin is going to be a big factor, I think it has to be Vaughan over Golders if it's a choice between the two of them.
I'd be very surprised if spin is a big factor with Harmer in the opposition.
And Critchley as well.
Yeah, and also be generally just sort of in the last few games. Yeah.
Harmer's one thing about Harmer for me, and I can't prove this at the moment because I haven't got the stats to hand, but I think Harmer's had to bowl an awful lot of overs for his wickets this year. Yeah. Interesting that. I don't want to suggest.
So Harmer's strike rate this year is 63.4, so a wicket every 10.5 overs.
Which is unlike him.
Averaging 30 as well, which is, unlike as well. Economy's still great, 2.87. But, yeah, I think you said as well, Gibbo, you think Simon Harmer is not quite the force that he once was. He's got to be into his late 30s now, isn't he? He's 37.
Yep.
Yeah, which is...
it's interesting going forward for Essex. They will have to analyse. He's obviously one of our big wage players. And Silverwood will have to look at that going forward because we're not flush with money. And he takes a fair percentage of the players' budget. So that's a big question going forward for Silverwood this winter.
Is this his last year of contract?
I believe so.
Interesting, talking about strike rate, Jack Leach's strike rate 66.7.
Oh.
So there isn't much between the pair of them, which I think probably says as much about the sort of pitches that games have been played on this season as about any suggestion that Harmer and Leach are in decline. They just haven't had the raw materials to work with this year.
I think the only time I've seen it that the sort of the spinners apply pressure and win a game at Taunton, this was somewhat self-inflicted as well, was Yorkshire. Don Bess and Joe Root on that Sunday was slightly self-inflicted. Somerset surrendering a 100-run first innings lead to the Tykes, and it ended up 100 short, chasing 280, weren't we? But that's the only service I can think. Normally at Taunton, they just seem to get better.
So what we might see is services, not necessarily in the Essex game, but across these last 3 games at Taunton, is services like towards the end of 2024 against Durham. When we beat Durham at the end of August, start of September, Leach took 7 wickets in the second innings. Vaughan took 2. The team has only bowled 9 overs between them. Leach and Vaughan bowled most of the innings. First innings as well, Leach took a 5, Vaughan took 1 wicket. The Surrey game, of course, the famous win against Surrey, that was another very, very spin-dominant game. They were with the Kookaburra ball, and they were matches where, with that ball, the Pacers didn't get much out of it, so spin involved more. But there's no doubt that the spinners were getting more. It seemed in those games, for whatever reason, the spinners are getting more out of it than with a Duke's ball. I mean, that was combination of Kookaburra and pitch, perhaps. I'm not sure exactly how much you give weight to one or the other, but we might see pitches like that. And that was a similar kind of setup of the season where you had quite a few championship games after the One Day Cup and 100 period. So if we can produce, if the services are like that, then that would be good. I think maybe not against Essex with Harmer, but we thrashed Durham in that game and obviously beat the reigning county champions at the time, Surrey, in that nail biter. So a couple of games like that would be good.
I'm just wondering what the sort of the expectation and the attitude is going to be, because you've got the guys now coming back after the 100. After the Metro Bank, you've got Nicholls coming into the side. You're back playing a format of cricket that you haven't played for best part of 2 months, or nearly 2 months to the day now. So I just wonder whether it's going to be more of a sort of a toe in the water, see how the side's going. You still get your 8 points for a draw, so even if you don't win, it's not the end of the world as long as you don't lose. So part of me is kind of fearing that we might see some quite nervous cricket over these next few days. Not just at Taunton, but certainly around a few other grounds as well. Because, especially as you said, Toppers, with you can chuck a blanket over the front six, to use an old horse racing expression. Nobody's going to want to lose ground.
No.
So who is going to be the first one to kind of put their head above the parapet, make a break for the line, and really try and go for it?
I suspect one or two teams in that top 6 or 8, one or two of those teams will have a shocking day with the bat, because that's what traditionally happens when we return to Championship cricket. They're feeling their way. They've got to think that some of the players, those who were involved at Lord's earlier last weekend, have only got two days, a travelling day as well, to go and prepare for a Championship game where they've just been playing hit and giggle for the last 2 months.
So, at least they've been playing cricket. Tom Abel's had one game in the last 2 months.
He started in the side for the 100, didn't he?
No,
he was in as an injury replacement.
He wasn't it, was he?
Yeah.
Well, he was always signed for the comp, but he came in for one game at some point in the middle.
He came in for one game. And James Roos only played, I think he played 5, didn't get any runs. Coda Cadmore 5, didn't get any runs. So there isn't much cricket amongst those coming back from the 100. But
I do suspect one or two of the teams in contention will have a shocker with the bat in this Championship game, where they just haven't played well enough to secure the new ball, or indeed the second new ball, or just played well enough. And I hope it's Somerset.
As at Chelmsford last year.
Yes.
Oh God, yeah, that was that was an absolute doomer of a game. Let's focus on Chelmsford this year.
Chelmsford in May was a little bit different.
It was, that was that. I was speaking of sort of crazy days. That was the craziest day of all. I think Will Smead, the injury replacement, Josh. Those
Gibbo and I were on comms, and we were joking, saying he's probably just got over the was it the Welsh Bridge, and then on his way coming in. And of course, meanwhile, it was a dogged, challenging pitch and quite difficult at times. But Craig Overton came in the evening and smacked it beautifully and carried on next morning.
Yeah,
he did. Just as well too, because Smead wouldn't have been there in time.
No,
absolutely. Yeah, brilliant cricket, and let's hope there's brilliant cricket this week, and why not?
Yeah, absolutely. Somerset versus Essex, as we said, never fails to deliver. Just can't wait for Championship cricket to come back. And there's rain forecast on Thursday, so best of luck, everyone.
I had a look tonight before we came on air, and there's maybe 20, maybe 30%, but my cup says that 70% you won't get rain.
I think there's a little bit of forecast. I don't know. It always seems to be a bit. It is notoriously inaccurate around Taunton. There was one day where it was forecast to be absolute pissing it down all day. We didn't get a single drop. And other days where it's forecast to be lovely and it's been pretty much a washout. Thursday is, it could rain. It might not. 50-50, I think.
I'm just asking the obvious question. We're no longer in the square deep mid wicket boundary. We're back upstairs in the beautiful
in the media centre cabin. Yeah, in the media centre.
With the lovely set of biscuits outside and the coffee.
Biscuits, coffee table.
Best voucher for lunch.
For lunch?
You
voucher.
Yeah.
And there's a rather better choice than we get at Chelmsford, where the choice is a hot dog or a burger.
I do apologise.
Yeah. I recommend the jacket potatoes. They're very, very nice.
Yeah.
Are they?
It might not be a voucher for the Championship games. I think for Champa they come round and ask what jacket potato you want.
Is there anything you'd like me to bring in, Gibber?
In terms of what?
Or any food for you or anything?
Well, whatever. Yeah, anything that you've got in the way of biscuits or cakes or any comestibles are always well received.
Nothing. Okay, I'll see what I can find on the M25.
Looking forward to it. I might be struggling to get up for that go. I definitely can't get there Friday and Saturday. Thursday's looking a bit iffy with work, and it might not even last till Sunday. So fingers crossed, I can at least pop up and say hello, see some of the game. Moving away from Championship cricket, then some good news to bring you for the Somerset Disabled 40 team. Our old mate Jacob Lund plays in that. They beat Yorkshire by 3 wickets on Sunday at Kidderminster, and they are now into the national final against Middlesex on Sunday, August the 30th. Jacob took 3 for 25 in that match, so well done to Jacob and all those guys. Pretty touch on... It's 8 o'clock. Somerset women, Dan, why do we have bowling consultants now? Why are they not coaches? But anyway, Somerset women have got a new one. Piper Cleary.
It's cheaper. It's cheaper.
It's cheaper.
Is it? Because they come in for a few days as opposed to for the season and full staff members. Bowling consultants, yeah, they're a little bit cheaper.
I think we've already got a bowling coach as well, so I guess Piper Cleary is just in to supplement whoever's already there. I can't remember the name of our bowling coach, to be honest, but I think there is one.
It's not Griff, is it? Andrew Griffiths might be.
Oh, might be. Yeah, he's something, isn't he?
Yeah. So she's joined. Yeah, Somerset women also taking on Essex. Metro Bank Fever, dead and buried for the men, but alive and well for the girls. Make the trip to Chelmsford tomorrow for resumption of that competition following the 100, which of course Sophie Duff was part of the winning team, the winning Trent Rockets, on Sunday afternoon. Let's have a look at the squad. So the squad's quite interesting. Great news, Emma Corney's back. Her ACL is finally rehabbed after what seems like an eternity. Must be absolute hell for her, because I know she's desperate to get out on the park for a long while now. I mean, the squad's got a familiar look to it. Obviously, Bex Hodges, Emma Corney, Luffy at 3, Ruby Davis 4, Neve Holland at 5, Griff at 6, Katie Jones, Jess Hazel, Chloe Scout, Nellie Anderson, Liv Barnes, Lona Harris and Jazz Wesley. No Erin Rakusic, she's still suffering with a bit of a back injury, I believe. But a comment you made, Dan, no Heather Knight.
Yes, she is the glaring omission, and she's no longer an England player, so she is purely a Somerset player, and she presumably should be available for this game. I don't know. I mean, maybe she's picked up an injury. I mean, she's not been playing for the last month. I mean, the last game she played was the Test at Lords, which was 10th till the 13th of July. As far as I'm aware, she didn't get injured in that game. And obviously, since then, she's been the general manager of London Spirit Women in the 100. So I don't. There's little reason that I can see for why she wouldn't be playing for us, to be honest. So yeah, I'm not that surprised, to be honest. Like she's not played a huge amount for Somerset or Western Storm over the years, even when she's been sort of theoretically available. But I thought this would be, a perfect chance to play, to have a run of games to replace Annika Leroyd. At 3, there's a glaring vacancy now with Leroyd missing the rest of the season, and a chance to sort of I don't know if she's planning to retire from domestic cricket, but a chance to end her career on a high by pushing us into the One Day Cup knockouts. Obviously, it's a tough ask. We do need to win most of our remaining games, but the table is fairly tight, and I think the top 2 are a bit ahead, but the third spot is very much up for grabs. It's only the top 3 that go through. So yeah, I thought it was a perfect chance for her to play. I mean, who knows? Maybe she'll play the next game. Maybe for whatever reason she needs a rest after doing all that general managing in the 100.
It's very stressful general managing the 100.
Well, clearly, yeah. So yeah, disappointed, but not that surprised not to see her. But yeah, great news that Emma Corney's back. It's been a year and 4 months, I think, since she last played a game of cricket, a game of professional cricket. It was early,
wasn't it? Went over in the outfield, didn't she?
It was like early June last year, I think. It was quite early in the blast. She did score 100 in a second 11 game against Hampshire, I think, about a week ago. So yeah, she's found some form, which is great as well. Going into it, and yeah, she was really growing nicely as a player, I think. in the back end of her Western Storm time, and then the start of her Somerset career last year. So, and she could be a really good option, I think, at the top of the order. I think she has a lot of potential to to play that sort of steady innings 50 over cricket. That's more her thing at the moment, I think, 50 over cricket. So it's the perfect format for her to come back in. And obviously she is going to be the one who's effectively replacing Leroy at the top of the order. So it's big shoes to fill, but she's a good, talented player, and looking forward to seeing how she goes.
Just as a general point, not just the men's or the women's, but the men's as well, Somerset County Cricket Club, with your communication regarding injuries. Every man and his dog knew that Alfie Ogburn was out for the season about 3 weeks ago, and it's only just sort of been officially announced. Likewise, Thomas Rue, a couple of weeks ago, everybody knew that he wouldn't be playing again this season. And on the squad page for the women's game, Heather Knight, Charlie Dean, Danny Gibson and Molly Robbins are all unavailable. So Charlie Dean and Danny Gibson, we presume, are being rested ahead of the England series against Ireland.
Presumably, yeah.
And Molly Robbins is on maternity leave. So why can't you just say that?
The club have not yet acknowledged that Molly Robbins has had a baby, which I find bizarre. Like, it is public knowledge. It was on the PCA's publicly available Instagram account.
It's all over social media, and it's great news.
I find it really, I find it strange that we're not really celebrating this moment. Like, one of our players has literally had a child, literally given birth to a child. This is, it's amazing news. So it's a bit out of date now. It was a couple of months ago that she had the baby.
Yeah, I mean, I think the kid starts university in a couple of weeks. So, it's probably that's it. But great news. And again, I don't know why. Like you said, little picture of a cute baby and a Somerset baby. What's not to love?
But yeah, you're right. The communication does need to be better. The women's, particularly around the women's team, I would like ideally to see slightly more specifics. As you say, those four were just given as unavailable, but they're all different circumstances. Well, Dean and Gibson are the same probably, but Knight's different because she's not resting for an England series, and obviously, Robbins has had a baby. So yeah, I'd like to see some more specifics around that. The communication in women's cricket generally is an issue. It's partly because there's not as much media interest compared to the men's game, particularly at sort of domestic level. So they don't sort of get questions, these things. These things don't sort of get revealed via the media asking the questions. So they need to sort of, in a way, generate that interest themselves by, communicating properly and acting like people are interested. I mean, people are interested, obviously. Yeah. But get it out there. It helps people engage when you are answering these questions yourselves rather than us all speculating on social media.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Got a couple of listeners' questions then before we knock this on the head. Let's have a look. So Neil asked, Mike Unwin has asked me to let you all know that the museum is going to be open tomorrow ahead of the charity match at the Cooper Associates campground. Andy Cleve says, are we going to sign a second overseas? Well, we did, Andy. But after you posted your question, Neil's asked, who in world cricket can we sign to make that bit of difference to push for the championship? I mean, are we sort of doing fantasy cricket here, Neil, or are we sort of looking realistically? I mean,
if we're doing fantasy cricket, I'd sign Will O'Rourke.
Yeah. I had a horrible
big bowler as there is in the world at the moment, I reckon.
I had a horrible premonition. It was going to be Will Sutherland, the guy who seems to sign for everybody and then never takes up his contract. So, I just ask you. I mean, obviously, as a former pro, Don, and you've had some great names down at Chelmsford over the years. Something in a Mark Waugh, Alan Border as well springs to mind. I mean, when you're sort of back in the day, it's sort of February, March time, and you're sort of looking around, who you think, I wish we'd signed them, or what sort of player are you looking, or are you excited to see when they come in to your dressing room? Obviously not something going to pinch your spot, so you're after a batter first, I assume.
It was my we often signed batters. If you look back, we had Kenny McEwen, we had Norbert Phillip. I mean, before him it was Keith Boyce. But if you generally look, we signed Salim Malik, Alan Border, Mark Waugh. We wanted batsmen because we had quite a lot of quick scoring batsmen at the time. And the first bowler we signed in '87 after Alan Border was Hugh Page, and he came injured, sadly. A South African with a very strong reputation, but he was injured. We kept signing batters, Mark Waugh, Salim Malik, Alan Border again in '88. But we signed a very young Australian in Michael Kaspovic I think that was 90 or 91. But generally speaking, we, like you've gone with a quality. If we're going to sign a quality batsman, that's quite significant for us. And it was the case. I think you only sign bowlers if they offer a bit of quality. There are too many run-of-the-mills. So my second season, Alan Border was phenomenal. And he would score, not always big hundreds, but he would score match-winning runs, maybe a 60 or an 80, where on a difficult surface, and we would win that game. So he was brilliant. And of course, my 4 captains in first-class cricket, if you don't mind me just mentioning, and Gibbo will know these 4. Dan, they're a little bit before you, but my
four. Can I have a guess? Can I have a guess? I reckon I'll get these.
My 4 first.
Right, let me guess these. Right, well, one must have been Fletch.
Gooch.
I played 1 game for Surrey.
You play 1 game for Surrey. That explains a lot.
Guessing.
Nicky Stewart? No, that's before your time.
Oh, wow, how old am I? Shit.
Sorry. Well, your third one for Essex then would have been...
Alan Border. Alan Border.
Border Essex.
Yeah, he captained at Essex when Fletch was injured. But my first captain in first class, my first game for Surrey before Essex was Jeff Howarth. So Howarth, Fletcher, Gooch and Border... I mean, I was just a run-of-the-mill treadmill county bowler. Played well, played many championship sides, never close to England. But my word, my captains were those 4.
Yeah,
absolute pleasure. Very, very honoured to have those 4 captains.
That was genuinely what you're looking for then, a difference maker. You mentioned Border would maybe get you a 60 when somebody else would just sort of buckle at the situation.
And there were some crackerjack bowlers about, Shep, in those days. There really were. County cricket was full of them because we were the only country that played in that time of the year, and we offered reasonable money so the overseas bowlers would come. And invariably, we'd have 2 overseas players, but today they don't have to come to county cricket, which is very hard work on the body. They can go and play and bowl 24 balls, 20 balls elsewhere and be paid and remunerated a lot of money for it. It's a different world today, sadly.
Sadly.
Very sadly.
I'm going to have to go shortly.
No worries, Gibbo. We're not sorry. Yeah, one more. Well, a couple of quick questions then. Andy Cleaver's asked about our openers. How we sorting the top order then? I'm going Thomas, Nicholls, Lammonby. I don't like Thomas and Lammonby together. I think they need sort of
3 left-handers.
Nicholls is a left-hander as well. So is James Rue. So unless you stick Abel or Vaughan up there, I think we're kind of stuck with it.
I still think there's a case for TKC. It just depends on what sort of form he's in. He looked completely out of form in the blast.
Yeah,
and he didn't get any runs in the 100. So if he's not in form, then there's no point. But if he's got it back again, I always like to see him up the top of the order, taking the fight to the bowlers in the first couple of hours.
Not too much though. I think when he starts, he's just a bit nervous.
If he opened with Josh Thomas, you've got the left-hand, right-hand combination.
Yeah, it gives you that as well. Yeah, difficult. Dan, who are you going for opening up top?
Yeah, I'm inclined to say Thomas and Nicholls, but I mean, you could go TKC and Nicholls and leave out Thomas, which would be harsh on him. But he's fallen away ever so slightly since he had a great game against Yorkshire, 71 in the first innings against Glamorgan, fallen away since then with a high score of 23 in the last 6 innings in first class cricket. But this feels like a bit of a breakthrough season for him. So I would like to see him stay in the side. So I'd err just about towards Thomas, Nicholls, Lammonby as the top 3. I mean, you could swap Lammonby and Nicholls. You could have picked Nicholls at 3. Nicholls, he's the overseas player. He's one of the best batters in the world, you could say. So maybe we should be batting him in his preferred position, which is probably 3 rather than opening. But that, I mean, Lammonby opening, and he's not been as good as an opener. He's been better at number 3 than he was when he was opening. So it's a quandary. But yeah, those are my top 3.
Could see Lewis Gregory.
Well,
I don't think we'll see Archie Vaughan.
You could see some more combinations to add to the list and to your T-shirt.
The T-shirt. Oh yeah. Well, I hope. Well, we could see a new addition to the T-shirt on Thursday morning. And finally, Harry Hayden asks, do we have adequate bowling firepower to mount a serious challenge for the county championship? Yes, if we can somehow keep them all fit.
Yes.
And playing back 6 games back to back.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just thank God we haven't got the Metrobank final to stick in there as well, because that really would have been an absolute logistical nightmare. Right. Are we done? I've got nothing else, chaps. AOB from yourselves?
No, nothing from me. Looking forward to seeing Don on Thursday.
Absolutely.
Very much so. Thank you.
Dan, you there? Which days are you going to be there?
Yeah, all good from me, yeah.
Which days are you going to be there?
Probably Thursday, Friday evening, and then all of Saturday and Sunday. So
excellent stuff. I will pop sailor if I'm able to make it up.
I've got some friends in Somerset. Yeah, I know that's sort of a contradiction in terms, but I have friends who are there on day 1 in a box in the Dutch-sounding old pavilion near the pavilion. Yes, they're in there. So I'm hoping Gibbo might give me 5 minutes off to go and visit.
I expect so.
Yeah, very nice views from the Dartshire Pavilion. Very nice views from everywhere, including the press boxes. You'll see. Did you ever take station in the rustic bus shelter, Toppers, or did you manage that one?
Yeah, he was there that game when Overton so nearly bowled Somerset to victory on the Saturday morning.
Well, that was when I was coming back from holiday.
And got there with 1 wicket to spare.
We did.
Never
it was an emphatic victory, that.
Alistair Cook still claiming that catch?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it.
Good to chat. Best wishes. See you Thursday.
See you all. See you all. Thanks for listening. We'll catch up with you next time.